Hey YouTube, Mad Hatter here again with yet another review video. This time we're reviewing the Satec Mad Catz Logitech X52 Pro. I've had mine for probably about 3.5 going on 4 years now. I've never owned the older version X50 or the X52 Pro or the X52. I just went ahead and bought the Pro version, and I've had it and used it with mainly Elite Dangerous. Now, this is modeled after the controls in Elite Dangerous, which is probably why, I don't know, one of the reasons why I bought it. It kind of modeled it. And at the time, I had VR at the time, so it kind of made it a little bit more immersive. But anyway, I went ahead and I bought this, and it served me pretty well. It did have some good functions on it and stuff like that. But then again, it also had its drawbacks. First of all, let's go ahead and start with the stick. The stick, if I can pull it back here, starting from the top, um, has a four-way castle hat switch right here on the left-hand side. And it has a pretty good click to it. You can probably hear it. But the tack feel on it is, there's not really a good tactile feel to it, but it works. All right, and in the center there's a cover, and underneath it is a button for like weapon release, and that has a pretty good click to it and a good tactile feel to it. All right, and that this flips right back down, so you don't accidentally push it, click it. To the left of that, there is another button that could be used for like, I don't know, shields, weapon release or something like that, or what have you. Depending on what you want to use it for. If you're in Elite Dangerous, there's, you can use it for shields or something like that, or landing gear or what have you. And below that, there is another button. Pretty good click. And below, and right to the center, there's a four-way POV hat. There's really no click to it. You can feel it a little bit, but there's really no click to it. And to the right of that, on the head, there is it's a mode switch. It's a three-way mode switch. There's really no click to it or anything like that. It's pretty much, that it's switching modes by the light, change of the light. All the way over to the left, there is another button I almost forgot about. That's kind of like a, you could use that for weapon release if you wanted to. And then the trigger, that's a 2-stage trigger. You hear the first stage and then the second stage. There's not really a whole lot of tactile feel there. It's more you hear it than feeling it. And then below that, there is a, I use it for a modifier. There's another switch. And that's pretty much just a, you know, you hear it. It's got a pretty good click to it. But I use that as a modifier switch. And then on the front of the handle, which I thought is neat, let me turn it around here so you can see. On the front of the handle, there's a little, like a little nut that you can turn. And if your hand is bigger or smaller, you can loosen that. And you can lift up. Let me switch hands here. And you can lift up. And you can lift up. All right. If I can do it with one hand. I'm doing this with the phone. Excuse me. Might be impossible to do it with one hand. Trying to show you. But anyway, this plate, there we go. This plate will lift up. If you have smaller hands, that plate will lift up and you can move it and slide it up to fit a smaller hand, and then tighten this back up again. And it will fit a smaller hand, or vice versa. If you have bigger hands, you can loosen this and drop it all the way down as far as it'll go, and it'll fit a larger hand. At the bottom, you got 1, 2, 3 momentary switches. So you got, so you can set for something like, what I did was, I was using this in not Elite Dangerous, excuse me. Well, I was, but I was also using it in DCS. So I would set this switch for gear up, gear down. And I was flying in the F-18 at the time. And this would be flaps up, flaps down. And this was hook up, hook down. And that's how I set that. So the stick is, it's pretty well made. I used to work in a plastics company, and the stick is kind of like an ABS plastic. It'll last you quite a long time under normal conditions. I have seen people get pretty rowdy with them, and they don't last for very long. But if they're used under normal conditions and stuff like that, this stick should last you quite a while. That said, this stick does have its limitations. I mean, like I said, you only got a four-way hat here. You got a button here, a button here, a button here, and a four-way POV here, and a three-way mode switch there, and then these switches down here. But it seems like there's a lot of switches there and buttons, but there really isn't. I mean, even including this, even including the modifier. It seems like there's a lot there, but there. I've used them all, and then it's like, I need more. Like with anything, you need more. Okay, moving on to the throttle. Excuse the finger. Now the throttle, let's move this closer here. The throttle has, there's a few more buttons to it than what I thought there was going to be. We'll start off with the base here. The base has a couple of wheels on it with a push. And then it has a couple of other buttons in the middle. Pretty good sound, pretty good feel to them. Buttons, they're all right. The roll doesn't have any sound to it, really. You can kind of hear the click to it. And I used these and DCS for like the engines, right engine, left engine, like as far as starting and then roll it backwards for shut it down, and in the center it's got, this will show you, let me turn the mode switch here, what mode you're gonna be in. So this is the wheel right here I'm turning to show you what mode you would be in. All right. On the throttle handle, on the other hand, there's, in the front, there's a little scroll wheel right here with push. You can kind of hear the push. You can't really, you can kind of feel, you can feel the bumps. I mean, when you roll it, you can feel it. It's not really satisfying, but you can feel it. Okay, and then to the left or to the right of that, depending on what you're looking, how you're looking at it, there's a four-way hat switch right there. And I used that in DCS for what did I use that for? Can't remember what I used it for. It's been such a long time since I used this in DCS. The TDC, I believe it was. On the main handle, looking at it from the right angle, you got a scroll wheel here and a button in the middle of it. All right. You can hear the button pretty good. So You can feel it pretty good, and you can hear it good too. Now, the wheel, it works, but there's a little bit of a jitter to it. You know, like when you go to, because I used it for zooming in and zooming out. And you would get to a point on the wheel, like say here, for instance, and lift your finger off, and it would be fine until you push this button here. And all of a sudden you would see a jitter in your zoom. The screen would start shaking a little bit. So then you would have to kind of like readjust it a little bit to take that jitter away. It's from what I understand, it's the podometer, I believe it is, that's inside the handle. I don't know how to fix it. I've never attempted to fix it. So I just kind of dealt with it and, just kind of messed around with it until I can get it right. I finally got used to it. But the zoom on it works good, other than the jitter. Below that, there's another button right here. And I use that in DCS for like my cage button in DCS. Alright, and below that, or actually to the left of that, is a slider. Now, there again, the slider has a little bit of jitter to it. So depending on where you put it, or how it's placed, you'll get a little bit of jitter in your screen. And there again, I didn't know how to fix it. I wasn't about to tear it apart, and then I don't know how to put the damn thing back together again. So I just left it the way it was, and I just dealt with it. But I got it to work. Below that is again another wheel. Let's see if I can get a better angle here. There's another wheel with a button in the center of it. You can hear the button pretty good. Now, this one again there's something to do with the design of the potometers. I don't know what it is, but there's jitter in this wheel too. And you have to place it. If you push this button here, it starts jittering again, and it's, you gotta turn the wheel a little bit to take that jitter away. So, that was something else. So this wheel here, the slider, and this wheel here, jitter. And it kind of pissed me off at first, but I learned to deal with it. I knew I was going to get something better later on, so I just dealt with it. It worked for the purposes that I needed it to work for, and that was it. Behind that, or to the left of that, is the mouse. Is the mouse lever. I had no use for it. I couldn't get it to work. Didn't know how to get it to work. Tried to get it to work. It wouldn't work. I had no use for it, and I had no need for it, so I never used it. To the left of that, there's another button. And in DCS, I use that for, what I use that for? Can't remember what I use that for. Don't know. But anyway, there's another button there. And that's got kind of a pretty good click to it. And you can kind of feel it pretty good. So, but that's it for the buttons on the throttle. Now, there's a tension knob on the left-hand side of the throttle to increase the force or release the force for the throw on the throttle, so you can have more tension or less tension on the throttle depending on what you want. But with all that said, the software for this piece of hardware is, in my estimation, crap. It's never been updated. It looks like it's never been worked on since the release of the X52. I've tried to work with it, and I couldn't get it to really work the way I wanted it to work. I mean, it's like third generation shit that Logitech, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I mean, put it down in the comments if you want. This was a Mad Catz item first, and then it moved on to Cytec, and then Logitech. Okay, Logitech, this is a third generation freaking piece of hardware that hasn't changed its software in years. So, they haven't changed nothing. And some people get frustrated with it, which I can understand why. The X52, I've seen people run over with cars and drop from tops of houses and stuff like that on other YouTube channels, and they get downright pissed off about these things. Never seen that happen with this one, but I have seen people get upset with it because of the wheel here, and the slider. They get upset because there's jitter, and they try to fix the jitter. I don't know if they're really successful, but they try to fix it. So, but anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. It's long enough as it is. But give a like, subscribe, helps out the channel. Tell me what you guys think, and we'll see you later. And there'll be more. And yes, that is a Cosmosina coaster over there, so there will be a Cosmosina review coming up in the future. All right, so we'll talk to you guys later, and you guys have a good one. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. Bye bye.